Hello everyone. Welcome to the second episode of NSN Connect. Over the years, NSN has contributed to the skilling ecosystem by bringing awareness and visibility to various organizations and skilling programs through articles, interviews, success stories, and much more. Through NSN Connect, we would like to initiate the dialogue and discussion between various stakeholders in the domain of skill development and vocational education to come up with some action points and some points to consider to together make skilling aspirational. As you all know, in the first episode, me, Sahitya, and Dr. Madhuri Dubey, founder of National Skills Network, we spoke to you about a very critical topic, that is, are skills meant only for low achievers or underprivileged or school dropouts? And you see how the things have unfolded within just a week. With the coming of National Educational Policy 2020, it implies that skills are meant for all. So today we will be talking about another crucial topic, that is repositioning skills with higher education. So without much delay, let's get into the topic.
Yeah, hi Sahitya. Nice to have this discussion today in the second episode of NSN Connect. And as you rightly said, it seems like there is a natural response to our first episode where we were asking a very pertinent question. Are skills meant only for dropouts or people who are coming from underprivileged sections or those who are not achieving well and performing well in their academic curricula? And it was nice to see a lot of responses coming on social media to this video. And also in the past 2 or 3 days, we have seen that as soon as the education policy was launched, again, the renewed discussions have started. There are reactions, there are responses. So it seems like already there is an answer saying, yes, skills are for everyone. And nothing better than the new education policy saying this so very emphatically in so many ways. So I think today in our presentation, we can look at a few things that we have been doing from NSN right from the day we started it to promote something on the same lines. So I think I would like to get started by showing a few of the articles and other things that we have published so that the audience gets an idea about how we went along this thought and we kept this thought alive for so long. And whenever we got a chance, we were vociferously, promoting this, telling people, hey, look, we need to have a lot of interconnections between these two streams, that is academia and the vocational streams. So let me get started. The first article which was published was in 2015, and this I had written it myself with inputs from one of my colleagues then. And the idea here was to talk about making humanities work and 5 ways to revive the discipline. Now, are you wondering, Sahitya, why am I bringing humanities here in
Uh,
this talk?
I think humanities has gained importance in like the couple of days. Everyone is discussing about coming back or reviving humanities.
Thought process has been there. There are a lot of people, there are a lot of videos on YouTube who are making a case for interdisciplinary education, liberal arts, humanities, social sciences, how they can all be brought back to the mainstream education by creating more options for the children so that they pick up what they want. And they can balance their interests, their hobbies, and also aspire to acquire a degree as they go along. So this was one of the old articles that was published on NSN, and I'm very happy to share this. And following this also, I think I have continued my enthusiasm and eagerness to keep writing. So there was something I published on LinkedIn. It was in 2017. I'll quickly show this. And this was an article which went very viral, and I think I got thousands of views and things here. A lot of people have read it, and there was a lot of appreciation also. So one of the articles, as I said here, is to do with children, and this was written on the occasion of Children's Day. So we from NSN haven't left any day where we could really advocate, talk about how skills have to be given importance. And here we tried to connect it with dignity of work, which I felt is a very important idea when we are talking about bringing skills and mainstream academic education together. So I think this is another point which comes across even in the policy. I'm very happy to see this personally getting so much of importance and relevance in the new policy. So these are some points which are coming up now again. And another aspect of this has to do with the role of university. Now, of course, we don't have a Ministry of Human Resource Development because it has been renamed as Ministry of Education, but it holds fine for discussing it further. So I have always been saying that yes, we need to bring the education and the skill development ministries closer. So this is one of those articles which went on LinkedIn, and again, I think there was good readership on this as well. Now coming to the most important topical interest is the new education policy, which was released just 2 days back, which was launched with a lot of positive news around it. I think the media is really very positive, bringing a lot of positive responses. And also there are other kind of constructive points coming up from various people. It's very nice to see that there is a lot of dialogue and discussion around these topics, which is so much needed. And that too when a policy is replaced after 34 years, a long time, the much needed kind of a thing. So Sahitya, what do you think are your views about the policy, and how do you think this is helping us in getting deeper into this aspect of repositioning skills and education together?
Yes, Madhuri, like you have mentioned, it was long due. I mean, it's good that it has finally come, and have I see that there is a lot of emphasis on vocationalization of education, both at the school level and at higher education level. This will not only make people, I mean, students employable after they complete their course, but they'll also, I think this will also help them in turning themselves into as entrepreneurs. This multidisciplinary or the focus on humanities stream, all are focusing on being multidisciplinary, and the focus of becoming entrepreneurs or being employable or industry ready. I think there's a lot of focus on through vocation in this area.
Correct. Yeah. So I think you have very nicely captured all the important points. Very nice to see that. And it makes my job easier now to go ahead with what I would like to say from my side. As we know, the policy is all about bringing in a transformation. Well, when we talk about transformation, there are a lot of related words which come in, like transformation, change management, and so on and so forth. And most of these words are not easy. They make us feel a bit uncomfortable, I would say. So this discomfort and the uncomfortableness which comes with all this is a very natural process. But I think, as you said, this was much needed. And like you said, vocational is getting a lot of emphasis here. In fact, there are many places where vocational stream is being given a lot of importance, much needed, I would say. And the moment we say vocational, it is implied that it is talking about application of knowledge that's acquired from textbook, that's acquired with interaction in the classroom, and so on. So application for what? Application for solving various problems, application to complete a task. And like you also rightly pointed out, entrepreneurship is something perhaps that can be, I mean, a good outcome of all these changes. And since it's a very outcome based kind of a policy, these are some things I think which we need to go deeper. And I'm sure as we go along from NSN, we will have more discussions. We will invite few people who can, talk about this mainly from the implementation side as well. So this is what I wanted to show you in terms of how from NSN we have been talking about these themes and promoting this and trying to create a lot of awareness and help people understand that education doesn't just mean getting a degree, whether it's an engineering degree or an MBA or some degree. Neither does it mean going to college for a certain number of years. What education means is holistic development, which can only come when we are aware of ourselves, our capabilities, what we can do, particularly in today's context when we are working from home and when we have to do things differently. I think all these matter a lot. So I would also like to go ahead and take up few points now to show you what can be the five key takeaways from here, or the 5 points to consider. But before that, I would like to hear from Sahitya what she feels about these 5 points before I elaborate them.
Yes, Madhuri, we have been talking about action points or some points to consider over this. And now with the new education policy in place, we have been talking about repositioning skills or integrating skills with higher education. I think that now the time has come. It might take, it's a long road, like we have been talking about. So it's a long road, but I think it's a good step has taken in uh, that lane. So I think we'll
Yeah.
talk more about, yeah.
Yes, a long road, definitely, and a long journey. And we don't know how this journey is going to be, because it's kind of, like I said, the discomfort which comes, which makes things which make us a bit uncomfortable, are a natural part of growing up, as citizens, as a country also, I think. So repositioning skills with higher education is something we thought is the need of the hour. And we are also reiterating all the points that have come into the policy, but we are giving it a slightly different look so that we welcome your suggestions. I really invite all the people who are watching us, who are listening to this, to share their views. We are going to put them all together on our website and help others also engage with us and take help perhaps from experts and others, in case they would like to go ahead and implement few of the things. So repositioning again is the key word. I think somewhere the positioning has to be relooked at, how we position these two. It is not one above the other or one below the other. In the new policy, I think we are trying to bring them closer, and we are also trying to build new bridges. Yes. But are we really building these bridges? How do we build them? How do we connect skills with knowledge? I think the moment the policy was released, I could see quite a few people commenting about, saying, okay, how do we do this? A lot of anxiety, lot of, are we ready? How are we going to? Overnight, nothing changes, we all know. And readiness and preparedness takes a lot of sustained effort. So are we really interested in building new bridges? We should ask ourselves. To implement the policy, a lot has to happen, and it doesn't happen in 1 month or 1 year. It takes a real long time. And mainly when we are talking about few changes that are coming in after decades. So how do we build the bridges? Are we building them? How do we connect skills with knowledge is a very important point to consider for each one of us in exploring ways and means of bringing skills with academic learning together. Already there are suggestions about how it can be done at the school level, how it can be done at the college level. Let's say by offering maybe one vocational course which is of interest to people, or even at the school level, making it mandatory for students. And then the bridges also have to be built across various stakeholders, like let's say the industry on one side, the startup ecosystem on the other side, which is just coming up in India. People, who have, let's say the retired professors and others who have spent a lot of time researching and all, their views are also important because they bring in a different school of thought. Young people like you, Sahitya, who have picked up a job just about 3 years ago, you are also very important, and students are important. So I think a lot of dialogue and discourse and discussions are due. I think if we are able to play a role here, I'll be very happy to do that. Now coming to the policy itself, I think basically what one needs to look at present is how do we move from policy to practice? The pragmatics of it. One is, okay, at the macro level, a lot of issues are being, listed, they are being discussed. That's very nice to hear. But always like we say, the devil lies in the details, or, how do we implement? How do we get into those details? So I think here it is like a long journey again, something which is going to take several months, and many people have to come in here and come up with a lot of practical suggestions. And also, I think it is not good to just say that, okay, this is in policy, it will remain in policy, in the document somewhere in the shelves of the ministry or so. No, we have to bring it down to the grassroots level, because if you look back at the policy, it says that for several months, the policy discussions have happened at the Gram Panchayat level, that's at the village level, at the district level. So I think the pragmatics or the practical part of it to implement, also we need to go back and check how we can implement. Let's say, for example, why a 4-year degree course, and where is the, let's say, for example, how is it connecting with the employability aspect? Is it like the 3-year degree program will remain as it was earlier, and the last year is going to have a bit of, let's say, project work or industry exposure? Now, if you're talking about this, there are a lot of practical things come in. Is the industry willing to take these students? How are we going to? So you see, the nitty-gritties are many. So I think we can go on and on about this, but we can take it up sometime later. And next comes active participation of the industry. I think I just mentioned that. The moment we are talking about a skill and knowledge connect, it goes into the area of application, as we know. Applying knowledge, to solve a problem or to create something else that, that can serve a lot of people, society, economy, build economy, and many things. Coming back to active participation of the industry in implementing the new curriculum, I would say it calls for a lot of, industry's interest, industry being proactive and taking part. It's not that all this is not happening now. Many things are happening. It's just that it has to happen in a much bigger way, on a larger scale, and in a sustained manner. Because many initiatives come, they stay for some time, and then we don't get to see them. But so whether it is the ITI, or whether it is the normal degree program, or whether it is some other program like a BWOC program, which is a degree program meant for giving industry integrated learning. For various such programs, I think we need to look at industry at a certain level, whether it could be curriculum development or assessment or practicals, like say the German dual model kind of thing, where there is a continuous engagement with the industry. But alongside this, it is not just that. This also extends to research, with the industry, where the academia and the industry come closer for research in new areas, in multidisciplinary areas and other things. So active participation is important. And how do we do it? Because as we know, it is not easy to get access to any industry just like that. We have seen it ourselves. So this is also important. Now coming to the fourth point about social advocacy, I think Sahitya would be the right person to, get started with this and tell us a little more. Yes,
Uh,
Sahitya, what do
Yes,
you have to
Madhuri,
say
when we
about it?
talk about social advocacy, I think here the role of parents in society plays a very big role. Students are not aware of what are the multiple options available for them. They're either, I mean, it depends on the state they come from. Like in the Telugu states, mostly students prefer doing engineering or IT. Generally, I think people should be aware and parents should accept that there are multiple options and all of them are viable options. They will provide them jobs, or there is an opportunity for them to start their own venture, or many things like this. And I think we have to start. We have NSN, through NSN we have been talking about it, or creating awareness among parents and society. And we'll continue to do so. So I think this plays a very important role in first creating awareness and then acceptance for these kind of courses and options.
Very, very true, Sahitya. So the fourth point, which all of us have to consider, is how do we reach out to the larger, society, as Sahitya was saying, the parents, and then their extended families of students, or whoever is as an influencer on the student or and their parents. So as we are aware that in India, even today, the society functions in this way, where the parents expect their children to follow certain things that are expected of them and support their learning process, fund their education by taking loans and all. So a certain mindset change is also required here, where we are talking about students. First thing is students taking multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary courses, which may not be easy for a traditional family to accept, because I'm quite sure if somebody says, I want to do maths, physics, and history, there would be a big question mark. Why history? And it's such a dead subject. Well, for me, I think that that would be the most wonderful way to combine and educate a child. So you see, parents play an important role, not only for that, as Sahitya was mentioning, even to promote entrepreneurial thinking. I think they play a very important role. Plus, another point which I would like to emphasize here is dignity of work and labor is also something which is implied in the new education policy, where again parents and the society in large plays an important role. To give you an example, let's say somebody is doing a graduation, a degree program, and in the third or fourth year, these students would want to explore something in the evening. They would want to perhaps go and learn, let's say, sit with a florist, or sit in a kirana shop, or go and understand how a fast food joint works, or small things which are around them. And I'm sure you know what kind of a reaction it would be in the family. I don't need to talk about it, but I think this policy even makes place for such things. Gradually, I'm very hopeful. I think gradually, I'm sure there are things which will change, and they will change gradually, and mindsets have changed and they will change. And the last point to consider, I think I need to take it up, and perhaps Sahitya can sum up all this. Um, the last and most important point to consider is the teachers and the trainers, because they are the ones who are going to drive all this. If we don't pay much attention to their professional development in the new way of doing things, whether it is an industry integrated curriculum, or whether it's like a dual model, or whether it's a credit based system, or there are so many other things. Now let me give one example. Let's say we are talking about how credits are getting banked in a college, and maybe the teachers are also playing a role somewhere, to reconnect with the student who had left the college after 1 year. Use the credits now to come back and continue the course. Even things like this pose a new demand on the teachers, their abilities, and then their comfort level, their confidence level. So how are we going to address all this? This is a very important area, where teachers and vocational teachers and trainers, people who are associated with skilling courses, most of them need a lot of professional development and support. And also, now again, we are all talking about online learning, online education. We have to explore various ways and means of doing this. And it should not be like when things are going to get implemented, you don't get a buy-in from the teachers. Then how is it going to work? It will not be easy to implement anything if you don't get the grassroots level involvement and inclusion. So teachers professional development and research, again, very important area. We need a lot of interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary research, and also research in the vocational streams as well, so that things fall in place, and we get to see that each person who's connected with implementing the education policy in the light of repositioning skills with knowledge, skills with academic learning, all these fall in place. Yes, today it looks like a very fuzzy area where there are a lot of dots spread all over. But I think with in due course of time, we should be able to connect those dots and form a picture. And I think that picture should be the signpost which helps us, in moving ahead with various milestones in a journey called education. which India is now re-embarking on in a very different way. So thank you so much for watching this episode. And thank you, Sahitya, for coordinating and preparing this entire story. It's really good that we are able to share certain views from NSN as a team, and I would really be happy if our viewers come back to us on our social media channels, on YouTube channel, and be connected with us. Thanks again.
Yeah. Thank you all for watching. We'll get back to you with another episode of NSN Connect next week. Thank you.